Good afternoon and welcome to Ask the Expert, your opportunity to listen to what my guests have to say and then to give us a call a little bit later in the program. Very interesting, very different program this afternoon. My guests are Dr. Larry Miller and Robert E. Smith. They're with a firm called Intex, and they specialize in handicapped mobility products, especially a personal vehicle. And we're going to take a look at a videotape that will explain this more than I can in my feeble words. Good afternoon, I'm Skip Lindeman. Before we take a look at these very interesting new products soon to be available, let's meet our guests. Dr. Larry Miller, first of all, welcome to the program, Dr. Miller.
Thank you, Skip.
How did you get involved in this? You're obviously a practicing physician, and then you decided to get into business, really.
Well, that's correct. As a medical doctor, I had the unique opportunity to evaluate some of the problems that my handicapped patients had. And one of the problems is that the handicapped industry, per se, is a very antiquated industry. And if you'll just look at any wheelchair that's out there today, you'll notice that the design has not changed in 50 years. It's still basically a seat with chrome pipes, bicycle wheels, and the seat itself is a fabric seat that is slung between these pipes. As a result of this seat, many pressure sores were developed on the patients and is not orthopedically correct. It doesn't support the patient. What's more, these patients were spending an enormous amount of money in repairs. The vehicles would not last more than 2 or 3 years. So as a physician, I was very interested in the mechanics of some of the products that they needed. I came from a mechanical background in Detroit, so I was interested in manufacturing. Put the two together and I became very, very interested in better mobility products for the handicapped.
All right, thanks. And how about you, Bob? I know you went to Stanford, right up the road.
Right. As a matter of fact, while I was a graduate student at Stanford, I first came across devices for folks with disabilities and got interested in the field. And when I graduated, I ended up working for the Veterans Administration Rehabilitation Research and Development Center in Palo Alto. And while I was there, I got involved in the development of the personal vehicle that you'll be seeing here today.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bob. That's Bob Smith. He is one of the designers of the Alexis omnidirectional personal vehicle we're going to take a look at in a moment, and also Dr. Larry Miller, who is probably one of the only doctors on a management team. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and we'll be right back with a look at that tape. Stay with us. This is Ask the Expert. A little bit later, you'll be able to call us with your questions. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Ask the Expert. My guests are Bob Smith and Dr. Larry Miller. They're with Intex out of San Antonio, and we're going to be taking a look at the Alexis omnidirectional personal vehicle. And before we take a look at the tape, Bob, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, this is a tape that we made back in February of the vehicle that was built at the Veterans Administration Rehab R&D Center. And it shows you some of the capabilities of the machine. This is a prototype that we built for engineering evaluation there at the center, and I think you'll find it interesting.
Okay, let's take a look at the tape now, please.
Intex of San Antonio presents Alexis, an omnidirectional vehicle designed for comfort, durability, and mobility. A revolutionary invention in a world of stereotyped wheelchairs. For decades, manufacturers of wheelchairs have ignored practicality, aesthetics, and modernization. For several years, Alexis has been studied and researched by engineers at the Veterans Administration Rehabilitation Research and Development Center near Stanford University at Palo Alto, California. It is a magnificent computerized vehicle which will fulfill the needs of handicapped persons. Now, there will be no more stigma in wheelchair confinement. Mobility is a key to independence. Project design engineer for Alexis is Bob Smith of Palo Alto. He and his associates have developed an elite vehicle which indeed fills the role of space-age technology. Alexis is a product of intricate research in the Silicon Valley of California. Dr. Larry Miller, physician and emergency surgeon, has put aside his medical practice to devote full time to the development and marketing of Alexis. He has tremendous faith in its future.
The degree of freedom and mobility given to the handicapped by Alexis is phenomenal. It's a quantum step forward. And anything I can contribute to the Alexis project will mean far more to humanity than anything I could do in the emergency room or in my profession. I'm very excited about Alexis. I've devoted my time, energy, and money to it, and I feel that both in terms of the handicap and in my own personal satisfaction, I'll be more than compensated.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources reveals that some 1 million Americans are confined to wheelchairs. Many of those are not institutionalized, and thus more than 500,000 Americans depend on wheelchairs as their only source of mobility. Another alarming fact is the prediction that 16,000 new spinal cord injuries will occur each year. Most of those injured citizens will sooner or later require a wheelchair, and in most instances, a motorized chair. In today's society, between the ages of 18 and 64, there are almost 500,000 persons confined to wheelchairs who are able to continue their occupations. They will need the best wheelchair available to carry on with their work and their lives. Alexis can provide the catalyst for those who are trying to regain a degree of normalcy. For a routine, normal cup of morning coffee around a kitchen table, the average motorized wheelchair is manipulated back and forth just to circle the table. To give you an idea of what we mean, this demonstration shows a regular motorized chair taking 28 seconds to make the arc. Now, to compare the maneuverability of Alexis, that same table, and before the cup can cool, it takes less than 10 seconds to make the circle. The chair is ideal for close quarters and narrow spaces. The basic design has been under development since 1978. Nothing but perfection would be acceptable. Yet, the chair is so basically simple, it will be durable and comfortable. Bob Smith explains about the chair as it is disassembled.
The first thing we're going to do is go in and unplug the connections that are underneath the chair. That's something you wouldn't have to do with a production device. All those connections control some of the functions that go on in the chair, the joystick control and all the various computer selection controls. And you can see once those are undone, it's just a question of lifting the chair up and off the machine. You can see the cowling comes off vertically on this machine. Just pull it off. It just sits on there like a bell on a housing. And the first thing I was going to do here is take the batteries off it. Ideally, though, you'd never have to take the batteries out of a Lexus. They should be essentially permanent. Once those 6 screws are taken off, you can just pull the wheel straight off there. These are the rollers around the edge. The rollers are kind of the secret to the way that the Lexus is omnidirectional. Those are the reasons that the wheels are able to roll along in the fashion that they do without scrubbing or scraping or dragging things along with them. This is the microcomputer that operates the Lexus. It's all on a single board there. It's a printed circuit board. These are all the contacts on the back. And that little chip right there is the microcomputer that runs the whole machine. All the other chips are just support chips for that one microcomputer. This is the motor for a Lexus. All 3 of the motors are exactly the same. They're identical to one another. The motor itself only goes from this back point here to right there where my finger is. This is the gearbox that actually drives the wheel. This is the power amplifier for the motor that controls the motor's motions under command from the computer. And this is the shaft encoder for the motor that actually monitors for the computer how fast the motor is actually turning from moment to moment. This is the outer support bearing for the Alexis wheel. There's 2 of these on each one of the wheels, and it's a bearing that you'd find exactly like the ones that are in the wheels of your car. This is one of the horizontal chassis pieces of a Lexus. It's one of 2 pieces, and they look like this when they're out by themselves. The fun thing about it is it's the chassis piece, holds it together like a car frame, but it's also the suspension. It's flexible, and that's what gives a Lexus the kind of ride that it has.
The prototype of a Lexus had never been seen by the public, so we decided to allow a Lexus to make a debut at a Palo Alto shopping center. We wanted public reaction. The personal appearance was a success, and you can see why. Intex is also providing other modern technology for the handicapped. You may not think that a Polaroid camera could have anything in common with a wheelchair, but it does. Now, with a computerized sonar system originally designed for cameras, quadriplegics have a vehicle that provides a freedom they have never experienced. In the past, quads were forced to use a method called the sip and puff straw type control, or the chin switch. But the ultrasonic head control provides great technology and tremendous results. High-tech simplicity as 2 sonar sensors flank the wheelchair headrest and actually detect the rider's head movement, but can separate actual command from any spasticity. Dr. David Jaffe is the chair's inventor. It has been a delicate, precise experiment.
As you saw, I was able to rotate my head without affecting the movement of the wheelchair. That's because the system is insensitive to head rotation. It just works on head tilts. So the user in the chair, his head position is analogous to the position of a joystick. Moving the head forward moves the chair forward. Moving the head further forward moves the chair faster in that direction. Tilts to the right and left steer the chair. Returning the head to a vertical position stops the chair, and hitting the switch turns it off.
Quite a vehicle there, and quite an idea. We'll be right back. We're going to open up the phone lines now. We're at area code 408-946-5353. If you'd like to give us a call, let us hear from you. We'll be right back. designers, the Lexus omnidirectional personal vehicle. We just saw that, and Larry Smith, former MD, or still MD, who is on the management team of Intex, located in San Antonio. Let's go to your calls. Line 1, you're on the air.
Hello, this is Bruce. I'm calling from Cupertino.
Yes?
I was wondering about how long does it take to manufacture the chair? We just saw demonstrated, the one that you turn your head to move it around.
That machine should be on the market, available on the market, right around the end of summer next year.
So a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's go to line 2. You're on the air.
Miss Mary from San Francisco. Quite intrigued. I'm in a wheelchair too. At first, when the nice gentleman from Stanford invented, when would that be available?
That will go into test marketing right around the beginning of February next year, right around the turn of the year.
And would that be about the price of a Mercedes, shall we say? I mean, I'm not kidding.
No, we'll get to the price.
No,
Tell
no,
them.
not at all. I suspect from your question you're aware of what the price of a conventional wheelchair is. They run on the range of the mid to high $4,000 range just for a basic chair. This machine,
Oh, that's inexpensive.
yeah, that is relatively inexpensive for a conventional wheelchair. This one will be coming out on the market at about $6,000 for a chair.
That's not bad at all. When did you say they'd be out?
Right around February.
Can I put an order in?
Sure.
Well, how would I go about this? I'm serious.
Well, you can contact us in Palo Alto. That's probably the best way to go.
What is your number in Palo Alto?
We can be reached at area code 415-324-2600.
324-2600.
That's it.
Right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your call. We're at area code 408-946-5353. If you'd like to ask us a question. Now, Larry, we're talking about what was so unique about this chair. I mean, looking at this design we have on the table, to be able to go forwards and sidewards without going in a circle, that's amazing. Because you got one wheel that looks like it's 90 degrees from the other. But of course you have little rollers on that wheel. Anyway, don't let me tell. You tell.
Right. Well, that's very perceptive. We feel that this chair is unique in many, many features. It's the first wheelchair or personal vehicle that was built from the ground up. And so instead of the current wheelchairs that are simply a chair similar to the one I'm sitting in, that people have added bicycle wheels to, and when they wanted to make a power chair out of it, they just added some motors to it, and this was your powered wheelchair. We've taken the approach to build the vehicle from the ground up. First of all, the vehicle is omnidirectional. It's more maneuverable than any other vehicle we know of in the world today. Secondly, we built a very comfortable chair, a chair that's orthopedically correct and will prevent pressure sores and be very comfortable to the individual drivers. Thirdly, the chair is modular in design. That means that any type of seat can be put on it. It can be serviced very easily because all motors are alike. The computer, as you saw on the tape, can be changed within a few seconds. Fourthly, the chair is very beautiful. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's fun to drive.
All right, could we take a look at this thing we have on the table here now? And Bob, maybe you could say something about this.
Sure. It's a 1/6 scale model of the chassis of a Lexus. And the thing that's unusual that Larry was talking about, the rollers on the wheels are modeled here. These little white gizmos are rollers. And they allow the machine to move in all the directions that we were talking about. You can see all the wheels are moving at different speeds when we do that. That's one of the things that's unusual about the machine. But as Larry said, one of the other things that's very important about the machine is the fact that it's modular. All three of these wheels and all three of these motors are exactly the same. They're very simple to attach to the machine. As a matter of fact, you can see the construction. There's not much to it. It's a very simple, basic device.
I saw you take the battery out in that thing, and that's just like a regular battery you find in any automobile.
It's exactly the same. It's slightly modified for wheelchair use, but it's a conventional battery. The end result of that is you have a machine that's, first of all, designed to be durable, as Larry said, but it's also, when it does break, I mean, all mechanical things do break after a while, it's very easy to repair, very inexpensive and very simple to repair.
Yeah, that's the modular concept, is that right? Okay, let's go to line 1. You're on the air.
Hello, this is Miriam Morgan. I'm calling from Cupertino.
Hi.
Hello. I, being a handicapped person myself, was wondering, oop for hoop.
Okay, all right. Thanks for your call. We're at area code 408-946-5353. We have some pictures of these. I don't want to. We saw some. I don't want to get the glare in, but here's another look. We had Bob in one of the chairs in the movie that we saw, and I'll tilt this one. So it's in blue. It's actually very pretty. It reminds me of an aircraft chair. I don't know if they're orthopedically correct, but it's certainly a lot different from the standard metal thing. What you were saying about how a chair had first you put wheels on it and then rollers. I got to look at Franklin Roosevelt's wheelchair one time. I don't know if it was in a book, but and I thought, gee, that's not altogether different from what is considered standard now. Just, as you say, a chair with wheels on it.
That's right. The basic design has not changed in 50 years, and I don't know of any other industry that you can say that about. We live in a society that likes high-tech products. We like modern products, and for some reason, the handicapped population has been largely neglected in bringing these off-the-shelf, high-technology, well-developed, and durable products to be used by the handicapped community.
And probably the only other vehicle that has remained unchanged since the time of Roosevelt, as you mentioned, is the wheelbarrow, which is probably a little bit scary.
Right. Okay, we need to take this break and we'll come right back. We're at area code 408-946-5353. My guests are Dr. Larry Miller and Bob Smith, and they're with Intex, and we've been talking about the Lexus omnidirectional personal vehicle. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
My name is Ruth, and I had considerable problems with the Amigo, which I have now as far as repair is concerned, to find a reliable person to take care of it. Now, who would do the repair work?
On this, the Lexus, you mean?
Yes.
You have a couple of options in that regard. If you have a dealer who's nearby, which I imagine is precisely the problem you have with the Amigo thing. You don't have someone you can take it to right away.
Right.
You could either do that, or because we're designing the machine to be just really simple, I mean, it's incredibly simple inside, you could literally ask the machine what's wrong with it. The computer can essentially self-diagnose and tell you, hey, this motor's bad. And just ask your neighbor to take that motor off. It's 2 bolts to hold the motor on. It comes off, you get another one, slap it in, and you're not down for any time at all. It's just say your machine isn't going to sit around broken in the corner. We want.
How would I get the part that there's one missing that I need?
Let me answer that for you. Part of the uniqueness of this machine, other than the things I've already told you, is the servicing. We feel service is very, very important, Ruth, for people like yourself. When your machine is down, you have to have it repaired as soon as possible. So part of the purchase price are inventory parts, which will be located in 5 strategic places around the United States. Our corporate philosophy is to be able to get you a part within 24 hours if you need it. If you're near one of those service centers or near your dealer, he'll have the part in stock. But if you live way out in the boondocks, we can overnight a part to you within 24 hours. You can have someone in the family install it or a next door neighbor install it. It really is that simple. We'll have instructions. It's not designed to be difficult. It's designed for the mechanic and for servicing. Okay. And so we intend to get the parts to the individuals within 24 hours, which is really remarkable in the industry. But I think it's necessary. It's long overdue because you depend on that kind of machine to get around. You have to have it.
Right, and I had a very bad experience. The one in charge with me, I had to wait a whole week. He promised to come every single day and didn't come for an entire week. It's just kind of sad.
All right, well, thanks for your call, Ruth. We've got a couple others waiting, and we'd like to get them in. But thank you very much for your call. Line 2, you're on the air.
Yes, my question on the Omni was that what do you do for a foot support? It looked as though when Mr. Smith was driving it, he was just riding around with his feet dangling in the air.
Right. You saw that taking place when the cowling was off the machine. In the sections where the cowling was on the machine, there is a foot support. On this particular device, you'll notice there weren't any armrests either. And that's because it was built at the Veterans Administration for engineering evaluation. We built it just for the engineers who are all able-bodied. The product version does have some rather nice folding footrests. We're rather proud of them. And some nice folding armrests as well.
Okay, thank you. Line 3, you're on the air.
Yes, my name is Judy and I'm from Sunnyvale. My question is much like Ruth's, and that has to do with how durable is it to begin with. We've heard how fast you can come back with parts. But for instance, yesterday in the San Jose story about a 6-year-old who's gone through 3 or 4 wheelchairs before he ever entered the first grade. Would this chair be good for him?
I think it would be great for him. Our philosophy when we started out building these machines was not to take a piece of furniture and put motors and wheels on it, but rather to build a vehicle from the ground up. We decided that the way to go is to decide or to determine how a person uses a vehicle like this. What do they do in their everyday life? What kind of impacts, what kind of shocks does it see? How does it get used? How does it get abused? And how can we build it to withstand that? This machine has been designed to have a 10-year service life, which is incredible compared to a conventional wheelchair. Right now it's averaging about 3 years normal service life with a lot of service going on in between. So we think we're doing pretty well on that score.
Thank you very much for your question. Thanks all of you for your questions. My guests have been Dr. Larry Miller and Robert E. Smith. Bob Smith, one of the designers of the Alexis omnidirectional personal vehicle, a space-age wheelchair is what it looks like. If you'd like more information, you can get in touch here locally, area code 415, and is this number right, Bob? 324-2600?
That is correct.
324-2600 in Palo Alto, and of course that's area code 415. And also with Intex out of San Antonio, and you'll see that number on your screen. I'm Skip Lindeman. Have a nice day.